From the moment Boris Johnson arrived in Downing Street, one key figure was lurking in the background. Dominic Cummings has never been far from the Prime Minister's side as he faced Brexit battles in Parliament.
The ayes to the right, 329.
And secured a stunning general election success.
I think Dominic Cummings is undoubtedly a genius. Some of his campaign successes, whether it's the Brexit campaign or the general election, are extraordinary, come from behind victories. And I think that sort of genius inspires a lot of loyalty from the staffers that work for him. The danger, though, is that it also breeds an arrogance.
Dominic Cummings was brought up in Durham and educated at Oxford. To his allies, he's loyal, supportive and talented. But to his enemies, he's arrogant, aggressive and perennially late.
I'm late and trapped.
His first taste of political campaigning came at the turn of the millennium, when Mr Cummings led a campaign to stop the UK adopting the euro. He was briefly Director of Strategy for Ian Duncan Smith, then the Tory party leader.
Hello.
And Dominic Cummings later worked for Michael Gove when he was Education Secretary, clashing with teaching unions and leaving under a cloud. David Cameron is said to have described him as a career psychopath. But his greatest victory, immortalised on TV by Benedict Cumberbatch,
Let's take back control!
was in 2016, when, alongside Boris Johnson, Mr Cummings convinced 17.4 million Britons to take back control and vote Leave. Now, as the Prime Minister's chief advisor, his profile has been raised yet further.
Have you got any more weirdos?
We need full of Tetlock super forecasters.
Partly because of his abrasive run-ins with the media.
You guys should get out of London. Go and talk to people who are not rich Remainers.
But also due to his idiosyncratic fashion choices.
Prime Ministers can only do their job if they rely on gifted and hard-working aides in number 10. True of the 19th century with Disraeli, Gladstone, 20th century, Lloyd George, Churchill, Margaret Thatcher, they all need to have them. The difference with Dominic Cummings is never before in British history has one aide been so prominent.
The Downing Street Rose Garden is usually reserved for foreign leaders, not backroom aides.
Sorry I'm late.
But this week, that changed.
No, I don't regret what I did. As I said, I think reasonable people may well disagree.
Well, you made history again.
And the smile on his face at the end suggested Mr Cummings believed he got his way.
Someone would say, oh no, Dom is against that. Dom doesn't want this. Dom says no to that. And that was effectively the closing down of any discussion. If it was felt that Dominic Cummings somehow mind was set against a particular course of action, there was almost no point in continuing to argue for anything different.
There was speculation when Dominic Cummings first arrived here that he wouldn't hang around for long. But this saga has made it abundantly clear. Boris Johnson believes Mr Cummings is just as critical for what he wants to achieve in power as he was getting him into it.
The evidence of history points very clearly and without any equivocation to the fact that when the aide to the Prime Minister becomes a big story themselves, almost as dominant as the Prime Minister, they cannot stay because it breaks apart everything in our democratic constitution.
For now, Boris Johnson's chief advisor is protected. The Cummings crisis is put to rest. But with huge challenges ahead, there may well be another on the horizon. Joe Pike, Sky News, Westminster.